When large projects run late, mostly project managers and product owners put it down to complexity. I've been studying project-based work now for 20 years and I have good news for you. It's really not about the degree of difficulty of the project, whether it gets delivered on time or not. 4 years ago we conducted some research. We looked at 55 different projects and we found that those that run big projects make the same mistakes over and over again. Currently, for example, we're working in the defence sector. Well, I can't say, but we're building big things. And those things take years to build. And guess what? It's the same 5 mistakes that make them run late. So to get projects delivered on time and on budget, you really need to just focus on 3 things. Number 1 is how to recognise these 5 mistakes. We call this knowing what to change. Then you need to know what to do instead. We use the words what to change to. And finally, how to cause the change. This video is all about number 1, what to change. The errors that are the main cause of projects running late. And these errors consume the capacity of a team, meaning that, based on our experience, nearly every project we've studied could have been delivered on time using less resource and less money. Meaning that the only way to deliver your project on time and on budget is to squeeze every drop of capacity you can from your team. So let's look at the big mistakes that consume that capacity. The first is that leaders believe that the faster we start projects, the faster we'll finish. Using this assumption, they put more and more work into the project pipeline. Why is this bad? Well, if you accept that to deliver a project on time, you must work on the right work at the right time. Like knowing that you did have that time to put up that set of shelves, but other choices seemed so much easier to do, so you did those instead. Same thing, too much WIP in the system means people work on wrong things out of sequence. Often they do the easy work first, and the hard stuff gets left until the end, and then the project runs late. The second problem is that leaders have too many priority rules. This means that in addition to choosing their own work and doing work out of sequence, teams now have lots of other priorities. And thus, their choices are further exacerbated by being forced to continually change what they're working on. Now we have massive context switching and multitasking going on in the system. Do you see now that this is a policy issue, not a complexity one? The third problem is what happens when people get blocked. Most leaders don't see that when people do get blocked, that actually it's an issue. Think of it like this. Let's say that you've decided you are going to put up that shelf. You get halfway through and you ran out of materials. If you decide to put that work down and leave it for a week, then the whole project gets blocked. If you decide to get involved in something else, now again you're working out of sequence. Our research found that leaders can cost a project around 32% of its capacity, meaning working on the wrong things at the wrong time, by not unblocking. The fourth capacity stealer is, believe it or not, setting due dates. Yes, actually setting due dates. Creating a due date makes your project run late, not early. Well, why? You see, it creates 2 behavioural problems. The first is called student syndrome. You know how when you get asked to do that essay for uni and you thought I can leave it for a couple of weeks? Well, due dates do that. And then there's Parkinson's law, a similar thing, where work expands to fill the time you have to do that work. Either way, capacity again is lost. And the fifth problem is measurement. Measurement that fails to give sufficient information fast enough that the right recovery actions can be taken to get work back on track. Most project managers provide updates once per week or fortnight, and usually they ask about the percentage complete of the work. But this gives us 2 issues. The information is really opinion based, it's not based on data, and also, as I'm sure you know, You can be 90% complete and still have your project stuck like that for months. Think about all of these issues and they give you one big problem. Your teams are spending up to 50 to 60% of their time working on the wrong work at the wrong time. Is it any wonder that your projects are running late? You're losing so much capacity. But here's the really great news. All of this is a thinking issue. And that thinking leads to a system of processes and policies that actually make your project run late. Think of it like this: thinking, system, performance. Meaning, if you can change and you're willing simply to change the way that you think about how to design, execute and manage projects, you can get amazing performance. How to think differently and what counterintuitive policies to put in place to get you incredible results without the need for extra spending, resource or capacity. I'll see you in the next video. In a previous video we looked at what to change. Today we're going to look at what to do instead. We call it what to change to. Remember our 5 common policy mistakes: too much work in progress, too many priority rules, not unblocking someone who's blocked, setting due dates, and using opinion-based measures. Let's look at number 1. We know that too much WIP in the system is a big problem and causes huge multitasking, leading to late delivery. So what's the first counterintuitive policy to change this? Well, we simply massively reduce WIP. Now, leaders often worry that this sends the wrong signal, that people are less busy and work is not getting done. Number 1, the work wasn't getting done in the old system, and people are now busy working on the right work at the right time. They'll get to the backlog faster now. Think of it like a motorway with less traffic. Everything moves much faster. Number 2, too many priority rules. Our research showed that most projects have around 6 to 24 priority rules. Wow! Imagine you're an air traffic controller and you're managing a number of planes coming into land. To make it easy, you have only 6 priority rules. The first plane is coming into land, but you have to change that rule and move that around and then go to the next one. But no, that one changes too, and before you know it, you think 6 isn't a lot, but actually 6 is way too many. Can you see that you can have those planes circling for hours and never land anything? This happens in projects. There's a simple fix. 2 rules, that's it. 1 is an everyday rule, for example, oldest first. And then an emergency rule that if the lights go out, drop everything. 2 rules will solve your problem. Even 6 is way too many. Number 3, when someone gets blocked, we know the old policy is to put down what you're doing and pick up something new. We also know that now you're working on the wrong thing at the wrong time. So what to do instead? Well, we have a new role for leaders: unblock. We put processes in place so that those doing work can get help. We call it SAW: stop, ask for help, and wait. We found that this speeds up projects by as much as 30%. Again, working on the right thing at the right time conserves capacity. Number 4, setting due dates. Remember Parkinson's law and student syndrome? We'll fix this by having rough work estimates. 15 to 20 days for big pieces of work, 1 to 3 days for small pieces of work. We give someone a piece of work and we ask them to work on what we call the road runner principle. When you're given work to do, work on that thing as fast as possible and work on it to the end. This means we can benefit now from early finishes and thus average out the slightly late ones. Number 5 is a move away from opinion-based measures updated weekly or fortnightly. Real data-based measures updated daily is what we do instead. What we do is we take all the big chunks of work and we calculate the time to complete the project. Then we call sum of the longest chain safety. We put that at the end. Daily we ask everyone what the remaining duration on their small piece of work is. Let's say a 3-day task is now taking up to 10 days. This registers as consuming some safety, and our fever chart that you can see here shows instantly that we may have to take recovery actions, but tells us exactly what recovery actions to take. So that's all the 5 policies. New, simple, but very counterintuitive. Counterintuitive thinking leading to outstanding results. 35% reduction in lead time, 94% on-time delivery, and a 53% improvement in gross margin. So now we only have one question to answer: how to cause the change. Tune into the next video to get that answer. So far we've talked about what to change and what to change to. In this final video, I want to talk about how to cause the change. Here's what most consulting firms do. They bring in industry experts, those so-called experts, interview you to get your ideas and then tell you what you already know. Now let's be honest, if you already knew how to fix your projects, you would have done it, right? Our job is to bring 3 things to the party. Number 1, a different perspective, how to look at things differently. Number 2, a different method, a better way of working. And 3, thus provide you with informed choice. Now that's not going to happen by a consultant giving you a 60-slide PowerPoint deck or a 200-page report with information that you already know about. So what to do instead? Well, it's 3 things. Number 1, we have to learn how to study the current system. This is what top companies do when they want to solve problems. They actually go and observe work. The first thing we do is we gather data on current performance. How well are your projects working today in terms of on time, in full, on budget? Next, we agree why it's performing this way. This is building a picture of current ways of working, meaning, are you multitasking? Do you have a system for unblocking? How many priority rules do you have? What happens when you're actually using measures? How do you do planning? That gives us a view as to how you're working today. Now through that, number 3, we can then start to build with you informed choice. Here we help and guide you towards a better way of working, but throughout the whole process you're involved, and most importantly you understand the rationale for moving to a new set of policies, principles and working practices. You know where you've been and where you need to move to. Over this video series, we've talked about 3 issues: what to change to, and how to cause that change. If you like what you've seen and you want to see whether or not you're right for us and check whether or not we might be able to help you, then please book a 10-minute call and we can have a chat. From there, we can spend some time together, if you want, understanding how your project system works today and helping you build that plan for designing a better project system for the future. And maybe then, if you want, what you can have is a system that delivers all your projects on time, in full and on budget. I look forward to chatting with you soon.